where do dads store their dad jokes? In a database. Hi everyone, welcome to the next episode of our Q&A series. My name is Maciej and I'm one of the leaders of Enexo comms industry practice. And in this series of videos, I'm presenting my point of view on some topics related to the comms industry APification. Today's episode should probably be tagged with a sensitive content alert. I'm gonna try to cover a very political topic today, something that in the comms industry has been debated for many years, sparks philosophical discussions and ignites minds and hearts of enterprise architects all over the world. And still, there are as many recipes as there are chefs in the kitchen. Ladies and gentlemen, a question for today. Product, service, resource. What is the difference? Let me try to explain. Let me rather share my point of view on that topic. And I hope I'm not gonna trigger a lot of controversy. Product, service, resource originate from so-called PSR models, something that has been used in the comms industry for many years to model enterprise product catalogs. And to explain that, I'd like to bring that car analogy. Everyone probably knows what it takes to buy a car. You first narrow down your choices, deciding whether you want to go for a luxury sedan, sharp sports car, or a family van that will be able to accommodate all your children plus 2 dogs you have. Then you look, searching through the BMWs, Audis, Toyotas, ultimately driving out of the dealership in a brand new, beautiful, glossy red Alfa Romeo powered by 2.9 liter biturbo V6 petrol engine, a true family car. Now, what that car allows you to do is to move from one place to another. And by the way, there are multiple ways you can accomplish that outcome. You can use a car to do that, but equally, you can use a bike or get an Uber drive. The Alfa Romeo is an example of a product. Product is what you purchase and what you pay for. The car might have certain parameters that are important for you when you choose to buy it, like manufacturer, model, engine, color, equipment package, and all of those things have an impact on the final price. But when you're actually sitting in that car, driving, you're using a product that you've purchased to achieve an expected outcome, which is moving from point A to B. And the set of parameters that are important in that context might be completely different to those that mattered at the purchase stage. Like for example, now you select your drivetrain mode, sports or eco, or you monitor your speed or acceleration. And that is what I believe is key difference between product and a service. Product is what you purchase. Service is what you use or operate to achieve an expected outcome. I know that that difference might be very subtle, but when it comes to telco products, frequently makes a lot of sense. And in the next episode, I'll try to explain why it is so important. To finish off our analogy, somewhere under the hood, the car is built out of parts, wheels, engine, gearbox, chassis, nuts and bolts, all the resources that are assembled in the factory to finally, in a miraculous way, turn into life when you start an engine, and working together to enable you to achieve that expected outcome of moving from point A to point B, and all together constituting a masterpiece of design and engineering in the form of Alfa Romeo. Okay, so now that we've established product, service, resource, let's take this example and apply it to the ground of the communications industry. Internet. When you want to use it, the outcome you're expecting to achieve is to be able to move packets of data from one computing machine, whatever it is, the computer, server, or mobile phone, to another. In order to achieve that outcome, you need to use one of the IP services, something that, for example, MEF defines in one of their standards, W69.1 IP services. And when operating an IP service, there are a number of parameters that are important in the context of that service being utilized, like, for example, DSCP preservation or path MTU discovery, whatever they do. But when the context changes from the context of operating the service to the context of purchasing the product, set of parameters that are relevant changes. And we're not talking about low-level details anymore, but we're talking about several key parameters driving availability and price, like location, bandwidth or SLA, and everything else that after the purchase is delivered in the form of a service or many services and a given quality of service parameters. To take it further, it's the product level where we get into differences between various use cases, like the difference between dedicated internet access and broadband internet access, IP transit and IP peering. Each of those products enabling you to achieve more or less the same outcome of moving packets of data from one place to another, each fitted though for a different purpose and wrapped around a different commercial model. And behind the scenes, we have our routers, VLANs, IP addresses, and all the other nuts and bolts resources that make all that magic happen. So this is PSR, Product Service Resource Model, in a nutshell. I hope you found this explanation clear and relevant. This episode was a bit longer than usual, but I can assure you every minute of this video summarizes at least 1 year of my learning and getting my head around these subtle nuances. And in the next episode, I'm gonna try to explain why it's actually beneficial to make it so complicated and keep product, service, and resource separated one from another. And if you have a different point of view, let's start some discussion in the comments. I almost forgot to mention, by the way, this episode was not sponsored by Alfa Romeo. Cheers.